In many SKAARHOJ devices, you have the option of adding a GPIO interface. So GPIO means general purpose input and output, or just general purpose interface, GPI, which can be both. But the point is that you have something that you connect to external switches or external lamps or something. Basically, on a connector like this, some of the pins will be shorted by an internal relay to the ground pin, and with that you could enable a lamp, and other pins will work as inputs. So as you short them to ground, like with a push button or a switch or something, foot pedal maybe, they can perform an action on the network. So in this video, I'll show you how the UniSketch interface gives you a fantastic way of adding functionality to your GPIO extensions on your SKAARHOJ controllers. So this is one of our classics, all-time classic E21 TVS, and here you have a GPIO option, and then of course you have the GPIO, micro GPIO right here, where you have 8 inputs / outputs which are shared. And this device has a web interface looking like this. So for any of these, you need to boot them into the so-called configuration mode. You can then go to the web interface on the IP address of the controller, and you see a nice graphical representation of the controller like this. In this case, you can see we have 8 inputs, 8 outputs. They are shared in the case of this one. So you would basically have to decide whether a given pin on the connector will perform an output or an input function. But let's see what is shipping default on this guy. So if we go to output number 8, we see nothing that's not designed to be an output. But if we go to input number 8 down here, you see as we short pin number 8 to ground, we will select input camera number 4 on program, but only as long as we hold it. So this would be an example where you take like a switch, you can switch it on and it will bring camera number 4 on program, and then you switch it off and it takes camera 4 off. You see that input 5, 6 and 7 are also configured as inputs. In this case there's no hold functionality assigned to it, it's just putting the source on program. When you send a pulse, you don't need to hold the pin to ground. It will not revert to anything afterwards. But if you wanted something like that, where you short it, and then the next time you short it, it reverts back, you could choose something like toggle, or you could choose cycle if you wanted to cycle through sources. Now, if you have watched our video about buttons, you'll see that this really resembles what you can do with buttons. And in fact, a GPI trigger, an input on any of these devices, is internally seen as a button because it's binary. It's either or. It's push down and it's release again. And the same features are available for all inputs on our GPIO interfaces. So let's take a look at the outputs. We can scroll to the top again, and probably output number 1, we have it right here, is configured to do something. And yes, so what we see is output number 1 and even number 2, 3 and 4, they have functions. So 1, 2 and 3, they will be turned on as the program source is 1, 2 or 3. So in other words, if I connected a lamp to pin number 1 and I put camera number 1 on program, the lamp would be lit. It would light up. As I change the program source to camera 2, anything else, it would be turned off again. And this is how the output function of a GPIO interface works.